7-3. Toronto beats the Red Sox tonight.
Well, I can tell you guys that it was a tough day on the field where the Red Sox have now dropped 5 consecutive games.
5 consecutive losses for the Red Sox, although it depends on who you ask. This is where we're going to start tonight on the Baseball Hour. I said this to Matt McCarthy during the day. If you were to look up the Red Sox in the standings today and see that they are 5 out in the wild card race, that's fine. We all kind of knew that. The part of the standings that was interesting to me is that they're only credited for a 4-game losing streak. Because the game with Toronto that started yesterday doesn't count as a game played yesterday.
We went back to the future.
Correct. It was a conclusion of a game that began months ago, as we all know. So technically, the Red Sox have a 4-game losing streak, not a 5-game losing streak, at least according to the standings. Of course, that is neither here nor there.
See, it isn't that bad, Mazz. It's only 4 games.
So now let me start with the obligatory question before I get to the meat of the matter. And the obligatory question tonight on the Baseball Hour is this. Is it over? Is it over? 617-779-0985. And I'm going to give you the math right off the top. Again, the Red Sox are 5 games out, 5 games behind the Minnesota Twins for the final wild card spot in the American League. They have played 131 games, which means they have 31 remaining. Minnesota has the same number. The Red Sox and the Twins have played an identical number of games here in the 2024 season. So just so that we're 31 games, you've got to make up 5. You've lost 5 in a row. Bodies are dropping like flies. Lucas Sims to the injured list today. Luis Garcia, also acquired at the trading deadline, like Sims, also on the injured list.
Thank God.
Rich Hill was added to the roster and is available tonight to pitch at Fenway Park.
He's pitching.
And he was coaching Little League in Milton. How recently?
A week and a half ago.
Okay. This gives you some indication as to the state of the Red Sox. So let me ask all of you out there. Done or not done? Is it over? I think I know how Matt McCarthy feels. So, Matt, but just refresh everyone's memories.
Mazz, I have a shovel in the back of my car if you're ready for it. Yes, this thing is over, done. It's been done for the last week. It's really, and it was the build-up from the last month and a half going back to the All-Star break. This team has been completely different coming out of the break. They can't pitch. They're now struggling to hit. They really can't field at this point. It is all snowballed on them. Kansas City is not getting worse at this point. They're getting better, even with the tough schedule going on right now. They've looked fine at the beginning of it. This thing is done. It's cooked. I'm surprised at how much it's collapsing, but it is collapsing. It's done, Mazz. It's time for you to come over to this side.
Okay, I don't think it's over yet. And that's my mind is not going to change, in the next 3 days. I don't know. Let me see how the next few days go. If they get 8 behind, well, then it's over. But mathematically, not over yet. And I'm not telling you that really mathematically is the necessary thing. I'm telling you still get 3 games with the Twins. The Twins still have to play the Royals. And I don't think the Red Sox are as bad as they have played over the last 5 days, 4 days. Call it whatever you want. Now, that said, do not mistake me saying that it's not over yet with me saying that they're going to turn this around and win. Because I'm not saying that. In fact, there is something that should alarm you about this team, and if it hasn't, there are a couple things that should alarm you, but let me give you the most recent one. Last week, I think I asked you, Matt McCarthy, I might have asked Jared Carabas this, although I can't remember if we resumed the conversation the next night. It might have started with Carabas. And I said, if I asked you to identify the one thing that the Red Sox could count on most in the final several weeks of this season, what would it be? Do you remember what my answer was?
Yeah, resiliency. Their fight.
Bingo. That they hang in there. That even within the context of one game, they get behind 2 runs, they score 2. They get a 2-0 lead, they blow the lead, they fight back, they take the lead again. The resiliency of the club, to me, has been its greatest asset all year long. Now I would tell you I don't see them bouncing back.
Yep.
And it's not that I see them quitting. I don't see them bouncing back. I don't know if it's fatigue. They're demoralized because they're too young, I think, to quit. They don't know. Veteran teams quit because they say this is hopeless and the writing is on the wall. Typically, young teams don't. So I'm not going to tell you the Red Sox have quit. All I'm going to tell you is they're not bouncing back the way they did even a week ago. So that much has changed. The other part of it that should catch your attention and that has been glossed over at various points this year because at the end of the day, the Red Sox were winning games and hanging in the race. Now they're losing. And that is the defense. The defense on this team is a freaking embarrassment. And whether you watched yesterday and last night or not, and most of you didn't, and I know that because I saw what the ratings were, combined for 2 games, they were somewhere in the neighborhood of a 3 under the old rating system.
Uh-oh.
Combined. So most of you feel like Matt McCarthy feels. And I can't blame you for it. I'm not going to blame you for it. But I can also tell you that if you have watched, the way the Red Sox are playing should alarm you. Yesterday in the 2 games, as was pointed out in many reports, the Red Sox committed more errors than they scored runs. They committed 6 errors in the 2 games against the Blue Jays yesterday. And I say 2 games because it really was pretty much 2 full games. The first game was a continuation of a suspended game, but they were in the top of the 2nd inning with 1 out or nobody out. I think it was 1 out. So the point is they had only recorded of the 54 outs in the game, 7 of them. It was effectively a full game. The Red Sox committed 6 errors, and they only scored 4 runs. Do I need to remind everybody of what Tom Werner, part of the ownership group, said to fans, and more importantly, defending his own account of why the Red Sox weren't, quote-unquote, full throttle? We all remember the full throttle account. Tom Werner ended up walking that back, and in an attempt to explain it, he said this.
You know, you're a journalist. That's a little bit overblown. Full throttle is the way I live my own life. It's my mantra. I don't accept mediocrity. We as a group don't accept mediocrity. I meant it in the context of we are going to press all levers to be successful. Yes, we will have a core of young talent. Yes, we will supplement that by trades and free agent. Yes, we will have a strong minor league system. You know, one of the things I talked about to somebody in the front office last night, I won't say who he was. I said, how many more games would we have won in 2023 if our defense had been average? Just league average, not the top, not the worst, just league average. He said 9 or 10 games. We wouldn't be having this conversation if we had league average defense. I expect that our defense will improve with stronger coaching, stronger instruction, stronger leadership, just in that one category. So, you know, full throttle for me is let's go and let's prove to everybody that we can be excellent again.
So look, in the spring, we took the phrase full throttle. We shoved it down Tom Werner's throat as far as it would go. We did the same to John Henry. We did the same to Alex Cora. We did the same to the players. Fine, no problem. The phrase full throttle really is really not a reflection on Cora and the players. It's more about ownership and upper management. We shoved that down their throats, rightfully so, but nonetheless, I'm letting that go now. I'm letting that one go. If the defense was average, if we improved to average defense, Matt McCarthy, is the defense average?
Oh, it's horrible. It's the worst in baseball.
The defense still blows.
But it was the coaching staff's fault, right? That's what they told you.
So the point is, Tom Werner tried to sell you improvement in the defense. Let's take full throttle out of it. We're not, because Sam Kennedy told us later on, we're not going to spend the money until we feel we're championship caliber. Until we're ready to compete for a championship, we're not going to spend the way we otherwise would. He basically said that in spring training. Fine. But we're going to improve our defense. They didn't do it. They didn't come close. The Red Sox right now have made the most errors in the major leagues by 10. The team with the second most errors is 10 behind. It's a runaway. It's not even close. And Matt McCarthy, that includes which team?
Oh, that would be the Chicago White Sox, because if you look at the American League, Mazz, the Red Sox have made 98 errors, 18 more than the second team on that list, the Chicago White Sox, who might be the worst team in baseball history. I mean, they're trying. Congratulations to all involved there. That is a special type of suck. And even the White Sox look at the Red Sox and say, Jesus, how are you that bad? Holy crap, that's bad, Mazz.
Okay, and I will just add that the analysts out there, the nerds, the stat geeks are going to tell me errors are an outdated stat.
Please.
The Red Sox ranked 22nd in defensive outs above average in the major leagues. 22nd. At shortstop, they're 24th. That's with Rafael out there, who's actually half decent.
Yeah, but the numbers actually, the analytics say he's a bad defensive shortstop.
They're 20, I'm sorry, I said defensive runs saved at shortstop, 24th. In defensive outs above average, they are 29th. And how about third base? Is that going to change in the future?
Nope.
Because Rafael Devers at third base, I shouldn't say Devers, this is really a team stat, but Devers plays the position, 26th in defensive runs saved at third base, 26th in defensive outs above average at third base. Overall, again, most errors and 22nd in defensive outs above average. The defense still sucks. It's awful. Casas is back out there. Devers is out there. Rafael is playing shortstop. The defense still stinks. The Red Sox have made the second most errors in the majors over the last 5 years combined. Second most. The only team that's worse, the White Sox. So what they're giving you is not a legitimate defensive product. So we can talk about the shortage of talent. We can also talk about the execution on the field. And now we can talk about the lack of resiliency. So I think all of that is on the table because, again, they are unraveling right now. Matt McCarthy says he didn't think they would collapse the way they have. I don't think they've quite collapsed yet.
They are collapsing.
But it feels like that. It feels like they've started a collapse.
It's in motion, Mazz.
So, again, I would like to hear from those of you out there. 617-779-0985. Because let's say this does collapse. Where do you go then? What's the solution then? What, Teal, Meyer, and Anthony are all going to come up and save the organization next year as rookies? That's what's going to happen?
Yeah, like Marcelo Meyer is going to be able to get on the field, Mazz.
Because to me, that doesn't sound like much of a plan, and nobody wants to go through this kind of crap again. We'll take your calls. We'll also get to some other stuff here on the Baseball Hour during the course of the hour, so don't go anywhere.
Throws into center field. What happened there? Schneider up and running into third, backed up by Duran. He'll flip it in. Devetta lost the handle on that in a big way. Ground ball to first and under the glove of Casas. Are they going to get an out? And safe at first. Gonzalez went for the recovery play but couldn't quite get there. They're going to be safe at first and second.
This was really close. He might have gotten this. Hold on,
0-2. On the ground again, left side of the infield. It's off the glove of Devers. Hamilton picks it out of the air, but no play to first. Kirk reaches.
It was just that little hop. Something off that grass that hit that dirt and just hopped up enough to warrant the error.
2-2, sent the other way down the left field line. Refsnyder into the corner, overruns it. It bounces onto the warning track up to second is Loperfido. First pitch, line to right center field. It's a leadoff base hit for Guerrero. O'Neill bobbles it. Guerrero's thinking too. Here's the throw, the slide. It's not in time. Guerrero avoids the tag.
Yeah, Tyler O'Neill's going to his right really hard and trying to just cut it off. Ball hops up a little bit.
Pitch to Kirk. Bouncer right side of the infield out of the reach of Casas. Gasper is there. Throws to Martin covering the first base bag. He drops the ball. Guerrero around third. He scores.
This is a tough one right here.
You know, this is a dangerous territory for me to go into for obvious reasons, Matt. But sometimes the problem is, for example, as a play at first base, Casas lets it go, ranges off the bag. Now that turns into a 4-1 play. Instead of talking about Martin dropping the ball, Youkilis breaks it down from the standpoint of Tristan Casas. You know, maybe he got off the bag too far, should have stayed on the bag, doesn't know his second baseman. All true. But the player wants to look at what types of things are going through the head of the player on the field. My answer would be catch the effing ball, Chris Martin. Or it's a big league team. How many errors look at the errors that happened. Nick Pivetta chucked one into center field. Martin didn't catch one. Casas let one go under his glove. Devers mishandled one. O'Neill and Refsnyder misplayed balls in the outfield. You've got fielding bingo going on at Fenway Park yesterday. Errors all over the place. They're not hitting. They're making errors. Does it really matter if Tristan Casas ranged a little too far off the bag on that play? Or is the story the collapse of the Red Sox? And the collapse of the defense. So that nothing makes a team look worse than bad defense and the inability to throw strikes. So over the weekend, I played this for you last night. They had an inning over the weekend where the game was 2-zip. Lucas Sims comes in, walks two guys. He goes out. Bernardino comes in, walks two more. Yep. And then throws a wild pitch. So Arizona scored 4 runs without the benefit of scored 2 without the benefit of a hit in that inning. They get 4 in the game.
Red Sox walked in 2 runs over the weekend. 2. That's Little League stuff, Mazz.
I mean, really? Who needs bats when you play the Red Sox?
Well, they're not going to throw strikes because they're all outside the strike zone because they're all breaking balls. So you wait for the one that hangs and you let every single one go. Other than that,
I said this last night. I'm going to keep saying it unless there's some sort of dramatic turnaround, and I don't think there's going to be. Andrew Bailey's got to go. Andrew Bailey's got to go. Their pitching philosophy sucks. It's awful. And I'm sure, I don't know Andrew Bailey from a hole in the wall, but this whole idea of pitching backwards is asinine. It is completely asinine. It's showing no faith in your staff.
Well, here's the question.
It's passive. It's not aggressive. That's got to go.
Should he have faith in this staff? It's a chicken or the egg argument, Mazz. You want to fire Andrew Bailey? Fine, go for it. They don't have enough good pitchers anywhere in the organization because they haven't focused on it for years and years and years. They don't pay for it. They spent 4 years not drafting it. This is what you're left with. So you're left with the chicken bleep approach. Which worked for the beginning of the year, which gets more out of you got more out of guys than you thought it was going to, and now the smoke and mirrors have been revealed, and this is what you're left with. So fire Andrew Bailey, that's fine, but you need to go out and trade for pitching. I'm sorry, you got to be aggressive, you got to trade for pitching, and you need to give up something to get something.
Okay, Matt, the personnel problem is the biggest part of it. I don't dispute that. But this whole idea of pitching backwards, why do they all have to pitch backwards? Brian Bayo throws 97. Tanner Houck throws 96, 97. Lucas Sims throws 97. And all he does is throw sliders and sweepers. That's it. That to me, the other thing is there is a mentality about putting the other team on their heels, to me, that comes with throwing fastballs.
Yep.
Attack. Spot the fastball. Don't leave it in a spot where it can get pummeled. Like, they've completely lost sight of what the art is of pitching. And I say the art. How about just throw it up, throw it 96 in on a guy's hand, see how much he likes that.
You're so right, though, Mazz. It is an art. I don't know if you saw this. It was a couple weeks ago, MLB Network. They asked Pedro Martinez how he would pitch to Aaron Judge. And they put the heat zone up, they put a thing of Judge basically in the batter's box, and Pedro said, this is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw a fastball up and in on the hands, and then I'm going to go out here, with a slider or changeup. I'm going to go, down to this corner here, and he said, and I'm never going to the same place twice, and I'm going to keep him off balance because that's the only chance I have. And it was beautiful. It's 3 minutes talking about how you actually pitch. Meanwhile, the Andrew Bailey approach is keep throwing the same pitch over and over again. Keep throwing it in the same spot. We'd rely on this. We pitch backwards. No, you need to pitch with everything, and you need to have feel for it. And Pedro said, I won't go to the same place twice until I feel like I can, then I'll double up and I'll try and sneak one by him. Like that's the art of pitching. And they don't do that anymore because it's too analytically driven.
And to your point, teams that pitch this way because they have to.
Right, because they suck. And that's ultimately what the Red Sox, are dealing with.
I think Andrew Bailey's philosophy sucks. I think it blows. Ron in Worcester. Ron, what do you got?
Well, first of all, I agree with you guys, but I'm thinking a little bit towards next year. And I think that Tyler O'Neill, when he plays, he's not too bad. He gets some runs. Problem is, he seems to be getting hurt too much. I wouldn't mind seeing him trade him or something like that. What do you think, Mazz?
So, see you later. He's a free agent.
Gone. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys that they could have moved at the deadline, but just add him to the list. Hunter Renfroe, Tyler O'Neill. Who's the other guy they brought in here? Jackie Bradley came back for a little while. There was another right field.
Duvall.
Adam Duvall, whom I liked. But again, it's just plug, it's fuse box. Pop one in, pop one out. Same guy, effectively. And they're all a little different, but same idea. Let me go get a right-handed hitter with power, who can hit me some home runs, play some representative defense. Wasn't Hunter Renfroe a Gold Glove candidate the year he was here?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, and he was throwing it to the backstop.
Well, right.
And he wasn't that good out there, and neither is this guy.
He's won 2 Gold Gloves, right? Is it 1 or 2?
Yeah, this guy, I'm not telling you.
Tyler O'Neill is one, too.
How?
I'm not telling you he's awful.
No, he's fine.
Okay? I'm just telling you that this idea that, like, Hunter Renfroe is a Gold Glove candidate and that this guy's a 2-time Gold Glove winner, boy, the standards have been lowered on defense.
Let me ask you this, though. Why are these guys always available? Because they're a dime a dozen. In the end, they're not that special, and they're flawed in some way. O'Neill's a fine player. When he plays...
Hold that thought, because you touched on something that you and I talked about off air, which was he's flawed in some way. We'll get to that as it pertains to the Red Sox roster building. Again, 617-779-0985. We'll tell you what Alex Cora also said after last night's game. McCarthy's Get Your Headlines. Don't go anywhere.
right now. So obviously it's a tough one. It was a tough weekend. We just got to play better, right? And we are capable of doing that. We established a brand of baseball throughout the season, and right now it's not happening. I think in every aspect of the game, we're not pitching well. We're not playing good defense. We're not hitting. So it gets magnified too where we at right now. So we just got to show up tomorrow and put some good at bats, pitch, and play good defense, and try to win a game.
Pretty matter of fact, Alex Cora last night over at Fenway Park. I think that he sounded a little exasperated. Not that you could blame him.
How could you not be? I am.
When you listen to him and he says, well, we're not pitching well, we're not hitting well, we're not playing good defense. They're capable of playing better than they are. We all know that. And the fact that it's happening against the Blue Jays, because I think the Blue Jays have quit. This is the part that alarms me. You get your ass kicked by Houston. That just is a measuring stick kind of series. Even Arizona, which was in the World Series last year, you get the idea. You're playing against a playoff team, and you say, okay, this is an indication of how far you have to go. When the Blue Jays come in here and you can't score, and you're playing bad defense, that to me is, what's going on now? And again, I don't think a young team per se quits because those guys can't. They're playing for jobs. They're playing for their reputations. But it does inspire you to look at the roster and say, okay, what kind of guys are the Red Sox bringing into the organization when they're trying to build the thing or when they're trying to contend and compete? Which leads, to a question about the kind of player they're bringing in, the profile of the player they're bringing in. Matt McCarthy, your observation is what?
They bring in a bunch of guys who do one thing. They've got one really good trait, one really good skill, whether it's one of the 5 tools or if it's a pitcher, they say, well, he's got a really good slider. And they identify guys like that and they bring them in here. And it doesn't mean they're awful players, Mazz, but it means they're really limited players. I look at a guy like Tyler O'Neill. He's got really good power, right? And he's fine in the field, although, he didn't look great last night. But what's the issue? He can't stay on the field. There's a problem. There's a reason why that guy was available for a song. It does go back to what they've been trying to do for years now. It's let's find somebody who does one thing and let's try to get him, on good value. Let's get a good deal on this guy. And generally, you will get a good deal on a guy if he's a one-tool player or if there's one thing he does well. And that's how they try to build this team and they try to piece it together. And in the end, that's just not good enough. I mean, just about every single one of the guys, that they've brought in, Mazz, you can find that one trait that you really like. Do they do anything else really well? The best baseball players do multiple things well. And they don't have enough guys who do multiple things well.
I mean, to your point, just to sort of illustrate the thing, Tyler O'Neill, as you said, good power, pretty good outfielder. I don't know if he's a great outfielder. I think the defense is a little overrated. And frankly, I'm going to start taking Gold Gloves and throwing them out the window because honestly, I don't believe in the voters anymore. I think the voters all go by the metrics and they don't go by their eyeballs. And I can look at a guy and know whether or not he can play good defense.
Right.
And I will continue to say this about Jarren Duran. He ranks great in the metrics. Terrific. He does not have great instincts as an outfielder. I don't care what the numbers say. I can watch him and tell you he doesn't have great instincts as an outfielder.
So right about that.
And he can't throw. He throws funny.
Right.
And
so
there's
what's
not
his
a
tool?
lot on it.
Right. So if we were doing it by the tools instead of the metrics, would you say he has a plus glove or a plus arm?
Neither.
I agree.
Neither.
But the metrics would say something different.
Okay, and so, and I want to look at some of the, now he was in the organization already, so, and I'm going back to High and Bloom here too, but to illustrate your point, Tyler O'Neill has got power. He's not a negative outfielder. He's pretty good.
He's average. Average to pretty good.
Okay,
yeah.
So he's got all that power. He's a decent defensive player. Where are the holes? He hits
strikeouts.
He strikes out a crap ton. He hits .216 with runners in scoring position this year. I don't think that's a fluke. I think the guy's an easy out. He's a bodybuilder in a baseball uniform is what he is. Okay, so again, I don't think there was a lot of skill for the game. I think the other thing is he does something that other guys have done that drives me absolutely bananas. He leaves his feet when he throws. So everything in his mind is about power. It's about, I'm going to show everybody that I'm leaving my feet and air this throw out when I let it go. How about just making a good solid throw that's on the money instead of leaving your feet and being horizontal for the guys who's taking the picture? Because that guy who leaves his feet on the throw, I'm sorry, that is purely what, that's eye candy. That's for show. Lucas Sims, who they acquired from the Reds, good slider.
Yep.
Hangs it, but that's why he's here. Tyler O'Neill, we touched on. David Hamilton, what's his tool?
Speed.
The rest of it, ordinary. Emmanuel Valdez can hit a little bit. Can't do anything else. He's got some power for a little guy. Average and contact aren't good enough. He sucks defensively. Can't really run. Masataka Yoshida, what's he do?
Bat.
Bat to ball.
Yep.
Contact.
Good hitter. Plus hitter.
Good average hitter.
Yep.
So again, the five tools.
Hit tool, excellent.
Right?
Really good.
The five tools as they used to be. Someone was a five-tool player. Hit for average, hit for power, defense, run, throw.
He does one of those things.
Right? Fielding, your glove, your arm, your legs. Hit for average, hit for power. Yoshida's one of those.
And it's a really good tool, right? I mean, we've seen that, since he's gotten healthy and gotten hot. Like, I enjoy watching him hit Mazz, but that doesn't make him a great all-around baseball player. And again, he's like so many of these guys. They have one really strong tool, and you think you can piece it all together, and that's how you build a winning baseball team. It's not. It's how you build a mediocre baseball team.
Vaughn Grissom, whom they brought in from the trade with the Braves. Bat-to-ball guy.
Yep.
Makes contact. Never on the field. Can't play defense. And what I saw here when he was throwing in that little bit of time he was here, to me, raises a whole different question. Where are you going to put him?
Look like me.
More
That's
on
not
him
good.
in a second. Garrett Whitlock, whom I like. We all do. What's his major flaw?
Can't stay healthy.
Ever. Can't hold up.
Which is why he was available.
Breaks down constantly. So now look, Whitlock throws hard, good control, but what good is it if he can't stay on the mound? So like even the guys who might have more than one tool, because Whitlock has what I would call good velocity. I don't know if it's like plus velocity, but it's good.
Yeah, it's enough.
It's got good movement. It's got good command, good control. Can never stay healthy. Now, I don't know if he has enough pitches. His changeup got pretty good the year he was here. Who's someone on the staff taught it to him? I can't remember who the hell it was.
Oh, it was
a lefty, I think. No, it was a righty.
Who is the bum? The mustache hack bum? Garrett Richards?
No,
it Garrett Richards?
No, someone from that. I want to say it was someone from the Angels, but it wasn't Richards.
Oh, yeah. He sucked. Wow. I'm trying to, yeah.
In any case, but major flaw in Whitlock. So he can't ultimately help you as much as you want him to help you. There's always something with these guys. Every single one of them. Let me go back to Grissom.
Matt Andriese.
That's who it was.
Terrible.
Let me go back to Grissom for a second. The Red Sox big three in the minor league system. Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, who's now injured again.
Shocker.
And Kyle Teal, the catcher. We've called them the big three. That has been amended by some to call it the big four.
Yeah, the core four, the Fantastic Four, Mazz. Haven't
Core
you heard?
four, even better. Core four, Fantastic Four. Matt McCarthy, who's the fourth guy?
Right now, it's Campbell.
Okay, but tell people who he is.
Oh, so he's a second baseman, center fielder. I think people think he's probably going to end up at second base. He's kind of really rocketed through the system this year. There were some questions about whether what you saw last year was real. And he went to Portland and he tore it up. He's a right-handed hitter, which is something that they don't have. And now he's in Worcester, which I think is interesting given that Marcelo Meyer's probably done for the year. That's why they promoted Campbell to Worcester, because Meyer's done, so they can actually get him some at-bats there because Vaughn Grissom's there. So Campbell can play a little short, can play a little outfield, you name it, but he's probably a second baseman. But he's different than those other three guys because he's a right-handed hitter.
Has Campbell, since he's been at Worcester, has he hit?
I believe he has, but let me check. It's
Okay,
only
go
been
ahead.
it's only been a couple days.
All right, so this is the question I want to ask about Christian Campbell. And again, this leads to a bigger picture question about the Red Sox and their ability to evaluate their own players, something that I have said is a critical issue in any organization. You've got all these prospects. This is part of the reason why you traded Nick York at the trading deadline, because you had Vaughn Grissom.
5 games at AAA, he's batting .348 with a 1,000 OPS.
Okay, so he has picked up
He's hit 2 home runs in 5 games, so he's picked up right where he left off.
Okay, so this guy's been mashing everything all year.
Some people are starting to think he might be higher than some of the big 3. There are people who really love this guy. He's kind of come out of, not to say come out of nowhere, but he's had a tremendous year.
Okay, so here's my question as it pertains to Christian Campbell. And there are some guys that come through your system and surprise you, and you didn't expect it as much to pop as it does. And maybe Campbell's one of those guys.
I mean, Mookie Betts in some ways was one of those guys.
Absolutely.
It happened so fast, right? You didn't know what his position was. Shortstop, he went to center field in AA, and it was just like he rocketed through. It happened quickly, and it's kind of happened similarly with Campbell.
And Campbell is tall. He's lean. I want to say he's like 6'2", 6'3", and about 175 pounds.
6'3", 190.
Okay.
He looks even,
thinner than that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Campbell is a second baseman. And yet when the Red Sox traded Chris Sale, they acquired a second baseman. So again, then they weren't expecting Campbell to play well. They didn't think that Campbell was going to be quite that good. So now they have, even though Nick York is gone, at one point they had Vaughn Grissom, Campbell, and Nick York. Are they all going to play in the organization? Now, York is gone, but here's my point. You can still trade another one. Emmanuel Valdez was acquired from Houston as a second baseman. That was the idea. Mm-hmm. Can't play the position. I'm not sure Grissom can either. But because they're flawed. Now, and meanwhile, you have this kid Campbell in your system who's blossomed.
Yeah, I mean, he started the year in single A.
And I understand the timelines don't totally overlap. Okay? And when I say that, I mean Campbell popped late last year. There was still some uncertainty about his development. I get all of that. But I still look at it and say, did they misevaluate Christian Campbell? Was Campbell better than anyone thought? And isn't there somebody in the organization who should have known that he was so good that maybe you could have gotten something else for Chris Sale?
So I'm always looking for a reason to bash the Red Sox. I'll always accept a reason to bash the Red Sox. I'll defend them on this one. This guy was drafted last year. He was in rookie ball, then ended up in Greenville. Was he drafted? He was drafted in 2023. He started the year in single A. There were a lot of really good signs, right? But he started the year in single A.
So he was drafted with Teal, same class as Teal.
Yes, he was.
Okay, so we're talking about a meteoric rise.
Yes, and it's tremendous. It's really exciting. I just don't think you could have counted on this. So I don't have a problem that the Red Sox went out and got a second baseman, knowing now that Christian Campbell is rising through the system and could be a second baseman. I don't hold that against them. I hold it against them for missing on the evaluation of Grissom. I don't hold it against them for trading for a second baseman because you already have Campbell. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I was going to ask you that next. The fact that Vaughn Grissom is what he is and looks like he might not be able to play. Can I blame the Red Sox for that?
Sure. Yeah, you missed on him. Yeah, I don't blame them for trading Chris Sale. I blame them for the return.
One other thing I want to get to about these last couple of days, the bad defense, and also this relates to the environment at Fenway Park. Last night, Jimmy, did we have the hit by, was it Vladimir Guerrero last night? There was a hit in the ballpark last night, but the crowd noise was noticeable. And it might have been later in the game. Didn't Guerrero ever hit at the end of that game?
Oh, he ripped one right back up the middle.
It was a run-scoring hit, wasn't it? Jimmy, let me know if that's in the system, because Matt McCarthy made an observation as it pertained to that hit, and this is something that we've heard a lot of at Fenway Park. If we have the actual audio, we'll play it for you. If not, we can tell you that there was a noticeable cheer after Guerrero got the hit. What did that tell you?
I got in my car last night, Mazz, and I popped the game on the radio, and I tuned in right in the middle of a call, and I had assumed the Red Sox had scored a run because it was that loud. It was that noticeable. On a Monday night against the Toronto Blue Jays in August, a team that is in last place in the American League East, and they're there taking over your ballpark again. It just goes to show you once again that there is no home field advantage at Fenway. We've seen that this year in the results, but it has more to do with just what's become of the Red Sox, what's become of that ballpark, and what ownership has done to this team. Like the Blue Jays taking that game meant something to you last night. It means nothing to the Blue Jays, and you got a bunch of yahoos rolling down here from Ontario to watch the game. Like, come on. It's unbelievable.
So, Jimmy Stewart, you tell me, is it different when the Arizona Diamondbacks come in here, who are here, once every 2 years for 3 games, and they are a playoff team and were in the World Series last year, and their fans are noticeable in the ballpark, or when the Houston Astros come in and they are a world-class caliber organization.
Or when the San Diego Padres are in and they're cheering because I was at that game.
Right. Is the Blue Jays being in here and getting the same thing different or the same as those? Because I would agree with McCarthy that it's different.
It's vastly different. It's a division rival that Fenway Park should be 95% Red Sox fans, and it's not. Like if you get a team in here who's been in here a handful of times every other year, something along those lines, then maybe you get the tourist who's willing to overpay, and the Red Sox fans like, yeah, sure, I'll sell you tickets. The Red Sox fan base should not be selling tickets to the Toronto Blue Jays.
The fan base isn't selling
in mass
tickets.
volume. So yes, it's very different.
It's not the fan base.
It's insulting.
It's not the fan base selling the tickets. The fan base didn't buy the tickets in the first place.
Well,
and the
other thing.
So that's the bigger problem.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the other part of it too is something that Matt, you just said, and that is that Toronto sucks.
Oh, they're terrible.
That team sucks. The fans don't care about that team.
Apparently they do because they're traveling to Fenway Park.
Okay, no, they care about making the trip to Boston. And they've decided, you know what, let's go watch the Blue Jays in Boston because we're not going to watch them here.
So Looney going a long way right now? Got to check that out.
But that fan, the Blue Jay, I get it. If it's a baseball fan that says our team's good, we can go to Fenway Park, we'll make a trip out of it, that's fine. The Toronto fan? Fenway's getting taken over by the Toronto Blue Jay fan, a last place team, and the organization's kind of a mess right now. I think that's the team that's taken over your ballpark.
Not a long ride down from Quebec, though. Oh,
scary.
Jesus.
Scary days at Fenway. Again, I don't think it's over yet. I hope I'm right. I hope they can put something together, but bodies are dropping like flies. Rafael Devers out of the lineup tonight.
Against a righty, too.
You look at it and you say, are the Red Sox starting to dial it down?
I don't know. The fact that we could be leaving here at 6:05 on the regular starting October 1st is kind of appealing.
Yeah, so do I. I don't mind that either, Jimmy. You don't feel like putting in the effort when it's a bad team. But nonetheless, we still have a month to go. I don't know. A lot of bad signs coming out of Fenway Park. Matt, thanks for sticking around.
Let's do it again Thursday. I'm looking forward to it.
McCarthy will have your headlines here in just a few minutes. Joe Murray has you for the rest of the night. We'll catch you next time.
Stay tuned for more of the Baseball Hour coming up on the Sports Hub.